Hey guys, and he was kind of beating all around the bush, and he said the reason was because really the person he has back home is his femdom, and that she finally, and I was like, what? That's a thing?
But there's applying it, and then there's the actual action.
Right.
Like when you discipline a child, you tell
keep going. And then when we do it, you guys say, scissor me, daddy, like that, all right?
No, you know.
This is not a fucking thing to do. Like,
They think that's normal.
I got you, like, buddy.
Hey, help her. Minutes later, I see a pizza slide under my door. No contact. Like, I'm good.
You see the pizza slide under the door with the hands, and your fucking hand slam down on top of it and grab it.
We have an initial physical type of what we like to see initially, because our eye is always drawn to something. I can see a tall guy, big and broad shoulders, and I'm like, ooh, nice. But if he talks to me, and I'm be like, maybe not. Okay, so Mike, until we get the rest of the guys in, do you want to start with your first question for us ladies? First of all, are you drinking a Capri Sun?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. First things first, what is happening?
You're all right. You said I'm good, right?
Yes.
It all sounds good. All right, cool.
Yes.
Your face is like, what are you doing? Welcome everybody. Welcome to the We Got Questions podcast. It's been forever.
Hello.
I think the last one we did was the game conversation. That was a couple months ago, but we're back. No,
it was a game conversation or gang conversation?
Yeah, we did a game, like a game, game talk.
We did?
No, you wasn't there. Remember? I did it with Beef for Barkus and everybody.
Yes. You're right. My bad.
Yeah, it was a wing it. But welcome to the We Got Questions podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Hennessy, aka Mike Hennessy, aka your favorite person on the face of this planet, aka the most positive black man you probably ever gonna meet in your life, also known as Basic's best friend. But welcome.
Don't forget Black Angel.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget Black Angel.
Yes, your favorite black angel,
right?
The angel on earth, like black angel. Yeah, rusted black angel. But welcome in. It's been a little bit of a second, but we here. I think we had to get all situated and stuff. I had to move it to the new place, stuff like that.
How is that going?
It's cool. It's fun. It's
nice.
Cohabitating is interesting. It's fun, but
yeah,
it's a thing. So Gabby's going to be here a lot more, and just fun stuff.
Nice.
It's an amazing time. So I'm looking forward to it. So
that's exciting.
But yeah, it is. But once again, like I said, if y'all not following us, make sure y'all go to YouTube. Everybody that's on the TikTok side, what's up to y'all? Live on TikTok as well. Just trying to push people over here to the We Got Questions podcast side. But if you're not following us, tell somebody, as Basic would say, tell a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yes. And get all this good information. Today, I'm thinking I'm gonna have so much fun with this conversation because it's something that I wanted to talk about as far as like modern things that we do that I feel like I do as a man. The modern life that I live, the modern life that Basic live, and the things that she is doing on her side, and me doing way all up here in Delaware now, but way up here in Delaware. I think it's going to be a dope conversation. So, but before we get to all the formalities and everything, shouts out to my computer. As y'all can see, baby girl is over here looking good. Look good, but nah. Just basically, how's everything been for you? You've been good.
Yes. Life is all. I feel like there's never a time when you, especially, I don't know if it's just like now for me or like within this past year, but I don't know if there's ever going to be a time when you're like, hey, basically, how's things going? And there's not something crazy that's happened because something crazy is always happening. But for the most part, I'm in a very good place.
Yes.
I've got hey guys.
Who we got?
Wait, hold on. Before
what up, mommy? Said it.
You guys come in. Make sure that you speak. Say hello. Let us know that you're here.
Yeah, say hi.
Make sure you say hi. We want to say hi back. But I'm blessed. I've got a great support system in my life, and so when things get crazy, I'm always able to just sort of navigate right through it. And there's always room for some crazy in my life. You never know. Still, you know, we had talked about it once. Still, kind of dealing with the same sort of family stuff that I've been dealing with, but pushing through it as best as I can. So, you know, for the most part, though, I'm in a good place. I'm blessed, so I can say that. What about you, Mike?
All right. Everything has been going pretty good. I've been very happy. Not in the place I was living at before. Wasn't that wrong with it? It was time for me to move on. The stress that I was having dealing with that, you know, it just was doing so. Oh, I still got the high on the screen. There we go. I had to put the other one up there, but just everything has been going amazing. Everything has been going great. It's just the mental relaxation I get out of that is something to, you know, be happy about, at least, you know. I don't know, and I think that's really kind of just it right now. Just challenging myself every day, really coming up with some stuff, really trying to be creative mentally when it comes to the things that I got going forward, you know, trying to get better and more into the game and stuff, trying to finally start planning our little thing that we have to go and do at some point. But those are the things that's, I guess, you know, I would say this has got me up here, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what that was. My screen just went away and came back, but all right. But yeah, that's basically about it. So
well, that's good. It sounds like you have things to look forward to, which is always great when you have some, you know, when you have something to work towards and look forward to. It's encouraging. It helps to encourage you.
Yes. We'll say this because, you know, it's mental health Pride Month and Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So this is a good topic that we're talking about. But just to get you kind of what we're talking about, shouts out to everybody. You know, happy Pride Day. Whoop whoop. I had to throw that out there. So, but shout out to everyone that is enjoying themselves on this day. Don't let nobody tell y'all ain't. You know, y'all don't let nobody tell you anything. Don't let nobody try to fucking say something to you. Have fun, do your goddamn thing. So tonight's topic is modern masculinity and femininity, involving identities. Basically, you know, came with that lovely topic right there. The way she put it together, you know, something that we discussed and talked about together, but she put that together. So rock the mug. What up? What's up, mama? I'm on the podcast, so you want to come over on that side, click my link and come on over. Come on, Mia, you can do it. But yeah, talking about this, and I had to, you know, there's things about it that really resonates with me that I felt like, you know, is a good, I guess, topic to have as far, especially when it comes to men's mental health awareness, because we are in a position where it's like a lot of us are stressing, a lot of us are going through stuff, but you don't realize like a lot of this stuff is choice. We choose to be in these spaces. We choose to choose traditional things and to put ourselves in a position where we're not having quality relationships or quality friendships or quality, you know, spaces in our lives because we are choosing to choose things that don't belong to us anymore. And what I mean by that is if you are born today, you understand how today is moving and how today is, while we're still doing things that was in the 50s and the 60s that doesn't even exist the same way anymore. And that's pretty much what we're going to kind of cover with this, with our own personal experiences and just stuff that we just like, I guess, you know, for me personally, just learning more about and how I'm moving forward. So if you want to start with modern masculinity, we can, but if you want to start with modern femininity, we can too.
No, we can start masculinity. I do want to, before we start, just so that everybody knows exactly what we're talking about, sort of give a little definition of what to explain to people what we mean by modern masculinity and modern femininity, so you guys have an idea of what we're speaking about as we kind of like navigate through the conversation. For modern masculinity, it emphasizes a more nuanced and evolving understanding of what it means to be a man. Moving beyond traditional stereotypes and embracing qualities like emotional intelligence, vulnerability, and self-awareness. It encourages men to be more present in their relationships, prioritize their mental health, and embrace diverse roles in society. So that's just a little brief sort of like synopsis of what we're meaning by modern masculinity. When it comes to modern femininity, give me just a second. Okay. It encompasses a broader, more inclusive view of what it means to be a woman, rejecting rigid stereotypes and embracing diverse expressions of female identity and experiences. It emphasizes individuality, strength, and resilience, celebrating women's multifaceted qualities and contributions to society. So just to give you guys a little bit of an understanding, and we can revisit it when we move over to femininity, what that is, again, just for everybody. But I just wanted to make sure we had everybody had an idea of what we were speaking of when we were talking about it.
So kind of just to add on to a little bit more to what Basic is talking about. So the way that modern things work is more or less getting away from the things that was of tradition. So like if someone was to go to Basic at this point in her life, knowing what she knows, living her life the way that she's been living, and go to her and say, I want a wife, or I want a person that's going to sit home and do this, this, and this, as if she's supposed to, that's her only job as a woman is to do that, that's you taking traditional masculinity and trying to bring it into today's society. It doesn't necessarily work that way. So it's more or less like, we understand that, and to understand how modern masculinity work is also to look at how life is now, with everything and money being the way it is, your politics, positions in life. You got to have a certain amount of money to even consider saying something like that to somebody, you know, like saying, I want you to be a stay at home. Like, you got to hope that you got enough to be able to take care of your family. If you say that's what you're going to do, you got to be able to do it. And that's really kind of like what it is to be a traditional man versus a modern man. Like, there's a lot of conversations around what does a real man look like. A real man, describing a real man is not a form of just being able to protect, provide, and stuff like that. It's also, you know, being able to be more emotional, intelligent, more in touch with who you are as a person. You're laughing at something. What are we laughing at? What's going on? What up, Tom? How are you, brother?
Hey, John.
So what was I he didn't do me all off and stuff with his silly ass.
Am I calling you Philly Freckles?
Philly Freckles, like, and then he put Freckles with a fucking PH. So right. So, like I said, in a sense of like how modern men is, I'm probably more of a definition of a modern man. I don't conform to things that are from the past. Like, I look at my relationship with the individual that I'm with and say, how are we doing this thing? You know, like, does this make sense for us to do this? Does it make sense for us to do that? And, you know, I'm allowing us to do this thing together. You know, I'm not just going to be like, oh, I lead. And it's like, she has no position to be able to lead in any type of sense. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, when you just said that, I didn't hear "oh," I heard "ho." And I was like, well, damn, like,
oh shit.
Like, ho, we ain't gonna do this.
Like, oh no. That is wild. Oh my gosh. All right. Sorry, guys.
Oh my God, Mike. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I pay attention to my friend. I gotta make sure I pay attention to my vernacular. Make sure I don't say nothing crazy.
That's funny.
What's up, Jug? How are you, Jug? Florida. How are you doing today? Welcome in. If you haven't subscribe to us. The link is right there. Put the notification bells and send it to somebody so they can get in on this lovely conversation. But back to the conversation. So, like I said, I'm more sets in in the sense of like being a traditional man, as far as like taking care of taking care of me too, you know, being able to make sure that I'm good, you know, make sure that I'm straight and I'm taken care of, not just my only job is to make sure that everybody else is good, you know, like that's not something that's just necessarily for me. So excuse me. So let me get a little definition of modern masculinity. In a sense, okay, is a shift from traditional expectations, emphasizing emotional intelligence, vulnerability, and self-awareness alongside traditional male traits like strength and assertiveness. So you see how, like, as we read this, like they both exist together in a way. It's how people are choosing to do it. You know, like I was okay, for instance, what's being a good example of how shit ain't looking too good is when you watch Pop the Balloon and you see everybody just doing what they're doing. You got all the men, some of the men that's coming on there, like the one guy in particular that's telling all the women, you know, oh, you want a real man. I'm a real man. I'm this, I'm that. But how they describing the real man is not, obviously they don't know what that actually could potentially mean, because in their definition of a real man, it is this, you know, a real man is a person who takes leadership, who takes control, who woman doesn't disrespect them, who comes home and it's their peace, and as if, you know, these old values still exist now. But you're also like, you're not looking at the sense of where you're living at now. You're living in a thing where the world is expressive. Yeah, it ain't just about you. It ain't just about like you. It's like a person, like somebody trying to go get you basic and say, hey, I want to be with you. You decide to get that person the time of the day. And the next thing you know, they're like, okay, I don't want you on social media no more. I don't want you doing this. I don't want you doing that. I don't want my woman on social media. After you didn't experience this world, now they want to take you back to the cave times where you locked away and you don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah. Now, here we go with hypotheticals now for me. We don't know now what's going on with you because you didn't disconnect you from the world. There could be all types of abuse going on, mentally, emotionally, physically. There could be all types of, you know, problems happening. You can't reach out to your family. You done did everything to now get everything for this man, and now you have nothing. And the only thing he wants you to do, sit down, shut up, make babies, cook food. That's it. Right. Who live like I think that's weird to even think to live like that now. Like that's just me. I think it's weird.
Let's go back to putting.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go back to minutes on the phone.
He said, "Let's go back to putting minutes on her phone." God damn.
Let's not do that. It's funny though. You're making a really good point, but it's also very interesting to me because, and I know that I might not be the same as every other woman, but I feel like I enjoy
my God, King, what up?
Of traditional, a little bit of a blend of traditional roles with modern roles, right? I am very much a woman. First of all, the way I operate in my everyday space is very much in a modern, a feminine aspect, which we'll get to, you know, later, right? Where I'm always in charge. I'm always taking care of everything, and all that stuff. But in my relationships, I do like to have the dynamic of my partner is the lead within our relationship, and, you know, and I supplement to him. But the reason why I say it has to be a good blend is because I believe I can't follow a man unless he is more in touch with modern masculinity than traditional masculinity or toxic masculinity, right? I could not allow you to lead me unless you were more. Am I supposed to be able to hear you? Oh no, you're muted. Okay. I thought something happened. Okay. I cannot lead you. I cannot follow you unless you are a man who is more in touch with his emotions and who's able to be vulnerable and who is more self-aware. Like I can't let you take that role unless I know that you are in touch with all of those things. I can't allow you to lead me if I feel like you have no respect for me. I can't allow you to lead me if I know that you don't understand and have like some sort of reverence for what I bring to the relationship as well. The only way that I'm allowed to, that I feel like I'm comfortable with giving you that kind of position in my life is if you are a man who is very in touch with your emotions and who is in touch with who you are as a man and also has a level of sensitivity and understanding. Because I feel like in order for you to be able to safely lead me in our relationship, you have to be a man that possesses all of those things, because I know that you're taking both my interest and your interest into consideration. So even though I prefer the more traditional dynamics in my personal relationships with my partner, he has to be a man who possesses a great sense of modern masculinity and not traditional roles.
Okay, so everything that you said is exactly how I feel how men can and should be towards their woman, you know, or whoever. I know we're speaking in the sense of men, women, stuff like that, but this is for everyone. This is for everyone, and how y'all choose it to move, how y'all choose to move it. I would say, what's up, Leeway? How are you? Thanks for coming in, brother. I would say in a sense of like my emotional intelligence is my biggest part that I think I have for a relationship, is that I pay attention to those things. Now, yeah, it can get overwhelming. It can get to a point where it's like, you know, it's a lot, but I still have enough to go beyond that at this point in my life.
Yeah.
Not just react and feel some type of way that somebody's saying something to me. Like, I don't have to be like that. I choose that, you know, like, and I feel like as long as I'm staying on point and as long as I'm being sharp mentally for myself, I feel like, I'll continue to be successful in the relationship that I have, you know? And the vulnerability part too, being able to speak and actually say what's going on with me, you know, like, and this is just me sharing my experiences with everyone else. I'm able to now say like, okay, I go through things. I have my moments. I get to my points where I'm like, I felt like I'm gonna tell you what happened. I had like a situation where it's like, I was so excited. And then I had a crash where I was like, damn, I feel like I'd be doing for everybody, but I don't know what I'm getting in return for myself. Not that I want something from somebody. I just don't, I feel like, you ever do something for somebody and like, oh, thank you. And then they just move and then you just kind of sitting there like, damn, I'm still kind of stuck here. Like, that's what I was feeling. And I had to recognize that that's a normal thing too. Yeah. That's normal for you to feel these ways, you know? That doesn't mean that I'm going around saying, oh, I'm helping people do this. Like, if I can watch somebody be rich and I don't be rich, hey, I'll do it. I don't care. Like, I get like everybody wants to be able to have their own level of success or whatever, but it's like, I'm good. Like, if you felt as though you wanted to come spin around and say, yo, Mike, let's do this or whatever the case is, then we'll create that situation. But hey, as long as you're successful in your life, do your thing. And I had a moment where I felt like, damn, what am I getting? You know, what's happening for me? Am I doing the right things? Is pushing me in the right way? Is my purpose to just help other people be successful in their ways, but me to just be here? And I'm willing to say, okay, can I sit back and accept that? Can I sit back and say, yo, you're good. Like, this is what it is. And that's something too. So that's a part of my self-reflection. You know, that's just a part of a lot of the different things. So I'm gonna say this too, and I don't know, we're gonna kind of go down I don't know if we're going to a rabbit hole with it, but I don't believe in toxic masculinity. I believe in toxic behaviors. Because toxic masculinity is, you can't take masculinity and say it's toxic. You fucking with the word technically. You know what I mean? By adding, people add things to it, and people tend to now say, oh, they're using the masculine traits, and now, you know, what up, Serena? They're using the masculine traits and they're now making it a problem. So now people are having a problem with masculine people overall.
So, question though.
Yeah,
I think when people think about toxic masculinity, at least, and I could be wrong, so this is where we're open for discussion because I want to understand more. Do you don't think that there are certain elements of what traditional masculinity looks like that might be potentially toxic. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily meaning that being, because what we're talking about is redefining what masculinity means, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there were elements of masculinity in the past in a more traditional form that might have been toxic. If we think about the whole position of women are meant to be seen and not heard, and I am the lead, and my say is the final say so, and that's it. There are elements of that can be toxic, just as much as there can be elements of femininity, of traditional roles in femininity that can be toxic as well. Yeah. So I think when people are referring to toxic masculinity, they may be referring to more traditional traits that don't really serve both genders. Because when we're talking about, what we're speaking about right now is really like sort of reimagining what masculinity means and femininity means to us right now. And whether or not the traditional roles in the past have been ones that served us, benefited us, really. And so I think when we talk about toxic masculinity, we're talking about those roles that are traditional, that might be ones that suppress the opposite gender.
Yeah.
As opposed to just saying that masculinity in totality is toxic. It's certain aspects of masculinity that might have existed that aren't ones that lift up the opposite gender.
So I'm so glad that you even got to this point, because that's where I wanted to dive into and kind of point the finger at the people that's using the word. That's the biggest problem. The problem isn't that we say toxic masculinity. We have to, because of how it's being presented to us, right? If I say the definition of this word is this, right, and then all these people come along and they start making it what it is for them, they have now, my screen doing something crazy, they have now made it a problem. You know what I mean? They made the word masculinity a problem. So people have fear of masculinity. They think that any person that asserts themselves is now a problem. And we're going to talk about the flip, because the flip is definitely what women get treated as too when they're a certain way. You know what I mean? But this is where I look at it. I don't say that men is the only rulers of masculinity, because we're not. You know what I mean? Like, the toxic masculinity side of it kicks in when you say a woman can't be anything that's masculine, anything that's considered to be masculine, anything that's considered to be assertive, leader, power, anything that does anything that shows bravado, a woman can't do, right?
Yeah.
Or they should respect it in a certain sense, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, well, I think that's because that's where we come into play when we talk about modern femininity, and it's in the same context, we're reimagining what femininity means and saying that you can still be feminine and be outspoken. You can still be feminine and be a leader. So we are redefining what femininity looks like. We are redefining what masculinity looks like. I love a masculine man, but I love a masculine man who is emotionally aware and who is in touch with his emotions and who isn't afraid to talk about how he feels and cries, because we're by redefining it, we are repurposing what masculinity looks like for us, right? And in the same context, what femininity looks like. So if I'm talking about a woman who is outspoken and who is a leader, that no longer looks like a masculine trait. That now is also an encompassing feminine trait as well. That's why we're talking about that. You know what I mean? Like when we're talking about what modern femininity looks like, we have to we're including traits that were formerly thought of as masculine, and now saying that they can be all inclusive to women as well, and no longer thought of as a masculine trait, but as a trait that can be very feminine. I can still be a feminine woman and be a woman who is outspoken. I can still be a feminine woman and be a woman who is a leader. I can still be a woman and still be to some form aggressive. Like, a lot of people think that women should not be aggressive. And when you show aggressive, it's aggression. it's thought of as masculinity. You know what I mean? And I can understand that there are boundaries and limits to certain things. And I get where people might be like, okay, you acting, you do it. You might be, I can understand some people might take that approach. Hey, man. Oh, shocker. But we're talking about what we like, how we are reimagining what those definitions look like to us now, and how the former might have been not healthy for our progression as men and women. I hope I'm not rambling. I apologize. I'd have had a little bit of,
yeah, I know.
It brings on the ramble.
So shouts out to you, basically. And so the reason why I say what I say is right, and I agree with you. And there's a reason why there's a reason why it's said the way that it's said.
No.
It is also the framing. It is also the people that are using the word. That's why I say, like, when it's almost like when me in my position as a man, I have to understand that men are a problem. I have to understand that. Even though I have nothing to do with it, I have to understand it. When you see me, do you see masculinity? You see it. But I'm also part of that same, but I'm also can be viewed in the same way toxic as they were, as we using the word toxic masculinity. I can also be viewed that way too. It's now you have to decide for yourself, oh, he's not that. You know what I mean? Like, because you have to sit back and watch me. But in first glance, what is your experience telling you? That you have dealt with people who have, not you, but just people, period, have dealt with people that are problematic, that are toxic in their behaviors. So it's almost like a kid. It's almost like a kid when you tell them to stop doing something and then they start showing out. That's the same exact thing people do with masculinity. They can't take the fact that, okay, so once you say, all right, I'm being masculine right now by being assertive. Now you go and say, well, no, I got this. I'm gonna do this. And now his assertiveness has been interrupted, and now he's coming back full force, mad now. Now he's throwing things at you, telling you what you can't do. And that's why people will say, oh, that's toxic masculinity now, because now you feel like you have to be this. I can't do this, whatever the case. Huh?
I was talking to him. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So like that's what happens, where he's clearly showing emotion in the behavior. So it was like, that's why I say, like, the toxic behavior has shown up now, because masculinity is still, it stays what it is. That's just me. Maybe I'm just defining it, and that's why it needs to be redefined the way that it is now, because the way I see masculinity is like, hey, you need to take care of people. You need to love people. You need to understand. You need to sit back and get it.
Right.
That's my version of masculinity. Falling back and letting a person and trying to understand a person, because my emotional intelligence has now stepped in. Things about me has now stepped in. I didn't go and catch an attitude with you. I didn't go flip out on you. I did. I sat back and I said, and now I want to see what's up.
Yeah.
I want to learn something now, because in my mind, I'm like, when do we stop learning? Humans is only using 20% of their brain, and the smarter ones are probably using about 30-something, 40% of their brain. So it's like, we haven't even done what we need to do. So a lot of people only have 5 things they got to identify with: eating, sleeping, shitting, fucking, and whatever else they're doing. That's it. And breathing. That's the only things that people tend to identify with. Right. That's the only thing. So that's why I was like, well, a lot of people, to me personally, I feel like have a lot of tunnel vision, a lot of things like that, because, they're so caught up in themselves that once they get the little bit of information that they got, now we're good now. We ain't got to worry about nothing else.
Right.
And that's why I say, like, toxic behaviors and then masculinity. Maybe it's just me saying, I want to get that shit away from them. You know what I mean? And let's say, okay, you a toxic motherfucker overall, because you don't even got to be toxic in your masculinity. You could just be toxic in every other sense of the matter. Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I think that though, when I think about toxic masculinity, I'm not thinking that masculinity in general is toxic. I'm thinking that there are perceived roles that have happened in the past and how people have defined what masculinity is in the past. And there are certain characteristics of that that can be seen as toxic now, right? So it's not to say that to be a masculine man is to be toxic, because what I view as masculinity has nothing to do with the more traditional previous roles of what people thought masculinity was. So what I think of as masculinity and what represents masculinity to me is not a toxic version. I do know, though, that in the past, how we have defined what makes a man, masculine, has not always been the most healthy thing. So when you subscribe to those more rigid traditional roles that people did in the past so harshly, there's a lot of those elements that can be thought of as toxic because they were built to suppress the opposite gender, right? So it's those elements that I think of, that there's elements of masculinity that people might have subscribed to that could potentially be thought of as toxic. It's not to say that masculinity in totality can be something that's toxic. No, but there are elements of it that definitely can be thought of as toxic when they are meant to bring down or degrade or lessen the opposite sex. And Tone was saying right here, just to prove my point, there's a difference, because he said, yeah, it's very different, because my assertiveness and sternness when leading never gets misconstrued as toxic masculinity. And that's obviously because when people see him, even though he might be being assertive, they also know that he is a man who might be thoughtful, who might be very in touch with his emotions, who might be doing things with purpose and moving with purpose in consideration of everybody. And so when they view his assertiveness, it's not viewed as a toxic thing. It's because they know that he is a man who is thoughtful and who is very in touch with his own emotions and who can be vulnerable at times when it needs to be. And so even though he's being an assertive person, it's not thought of as toxicity, And he was also saying tone, goals, empathy, and intention make a huge difference. 100%. So I can view him as being a man who is very masculine and who might still be a man who is assertive. But the way his tone is, what his intentions are, his empathy towards the opposite sex is going to have a lot to do with whether or not I view that as toxic. If I see a man approach me and I see he approaches me in a manner that is degrading to who I am as a female, that is toxic masculinity to me. When he devalues me as a woman, that is considered toxic masculinity. As opposed to, you're just assertive and that means toxicity. No, I still very much hold value to masculinity, but it's just when you are a man who can be empathetic, who can be vulnerable, who can be self-aware, that's when, to me, you're masculine. When you can still carry on a role of a man, but also be introspective, that is a beautiful, element of masculinity. So I don't think, it's just a matter of I think when people talk about toxic masculinity, I don't think they're talking about masculinity in totality. I think they're talking about, specific roles or specific elements.
I hate saying S and P's at the same time. Go ahead. I'm with you with that one. That shit's full. You start spitting everywhere.
And it also doesn't help, Mike, that I've been drinking. That's gonna make it worse. I'm gonna get tongue tied a lot. Right. No, but I get it. I get exactly what you mean. I get it because, like I said, when I look for it within my partner, I feel like he's a very masculine man and I want him to lead me. But I cannot allow him to lead me unless I know he is a person who is willing to be vulnerable and willing to be introspective and willing to understand his own emotions and willing to, to still hold value in me as a woman. Without that, I cannot respect you as a man. You know what I mean? Though, yeah. So. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. God damn. All right. So,
sorry.
No, you good. Basic has told y'all. If you on that bullshit, I ain't gonna respect you. It is what it is, brother. You ain't getting this respect. So, all right. So, I have something.
Did you put Mel's coming up? You put Mel's coming up?
I did. You want to see it again? Ego, insecurity, immaturity.
Right. Those are elements of toxic masculinity. When you let your ego lead you, when you let your insecurities lead you, when you let immaturity lead you, when you are devaluing a woman because you think she is less than. Those are elements to me of toxic masculinity.
But it's not just because we're talking about women and men, let's also say there's also people that are handicapped, people that are gay, trans, non-binary, anybody that's in other lanes that you are in, devaluing them as human beings, and not showing up for people that hasn't done a damn thing to you, two, that's living the same life that you're living and breathing and doing everything, that is doing what they're doing in their lives. Like, that's a sign of toxic masculinity, as we call it too. Like toxic behaviors, toxic everything. Like, you're just a trash person and a trash human being. And, I'm not a fan of taking nothing away from somebody because, it don't agree with you in your head. Like, okay, so take you in your head and go somewhere else. So pause. I get that. Welcome. Go ahead. I had to do it. Kia, welcome to the podcast. She just told me live here on TikTok. She subscribed to us. So everybody, shouts out to Kia. Say hi to Kia, y'all. Hey, what's up, Kia? How you doing? Kia goes live a lot. She is from Philly. She's down there where you're at, over in the A. Nice. But she's still an Eagle, baby. She's still an Eagle. All right, so basically don't watch football, yo. She's still Eagle. Thanks for subscribing to the podcast, Kia. If you know anybody that is going to benefit from this conversation, that will enjoy it, tell them to grab some wine and come sit with me and Basic, because I think I just poured this onto the face, and I don't drink like that. And I'm a little.
God, Mike, why is your glass?
That shit was all the way up here, Basic. That one was like right here.
It was a heavy pour, and I know because I did a heavy pour too. But look how much I still have left, and I know I'm feeling it.
I was fipping. I was a fipping, but anyway. Damn. Look, it's been a while since we've been here, y'all. I'm loving every minute of this. You lead way better with a big heart than an iron fist. Yeah. Listen. I was sitting there telling Milan this, right? And I was saying that women technically, let's be fucking real, in most species, women are or females in most species are the aggressors, are the hunters, are the ones that will fuck you up. A praying mantis, after they're done mating with you, the female will kill the male. Or unalive for TikTok purposes. Queen Tings, welcome in. The lions, the females are the ones who do the hunting. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who would drag a dog back to the camp. Fucking regular cats, that goddamn fish. It don't matter what it is. Most of the things that are dominated, and there's more of females than it is males. So
I'm sorry, I was a little too tipsy. You said you were like dogs, a fish. What are we talking about? What are we talking about right now? A fish.
When I hear the term, there are masculine traits over time that are now called out in this society, like how women were treated in the 90s West Coast hip hop at one point was the same, but it was okay then. It was never okay. It just that.
That's such a good point, because what she's talking about is that was an era of hip hop where women were always referred to as bitches and hoes, right?
They got a song. What's the song? Bitches ain't shit, but hoes and tricks. Like what?
Right. And so I think that we also went through an evolutionary period of where women were trying to reclaim the term of what being a bitch was.
Yeah, we did.
And that was also very present in hip hop, where women were trying to reclaim their sexuality as their own, what being a bitch meant, You know what I mean? Like it was reclaiming what that term meant for us. It was also very much just reimagining and repurposing what had been once used to bring us down and degrade us. And we were taking it on as our own and saying, nope, we're going to take this back. We're taking back our power. We're taking back this. And I can still be a woman who is respected. And you can still call me a bitch. No, but I'm saying like they were.
It's like how you chewing the gum. It's like the gum to face ratio isn't like you call me a bitch.
Like, but no, but like but women were saying like, yeah, I'm that bitch. You know what I mean? Now it's not. They're taking it on as I'm not. You can't hold me down by calling a bitch. Yes, I am the bitch. I'm that bitch. You know what I mean? There was very much that transition in hip hop that happened where people were reclaiming all those titles that had been placed on us to make us look as like less than, you know what I mean? And they were taking it back and owning it. They were owning their sexuality. They were owning these derogatory terms, and they were like, you know, putting it out there.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna say something real quick, right? This is to call men out on something, especially black men. I gotta hold the feet to the fire because I think I was told don't be scared to do this. Fuck it. You can't to have a successful podcast, successful anything. You're gonna have to say what's on your fucking.
Sorry.
You good?
That one, yeah, it hit me for a second. Sorry.
See that one eye went down, one other one went up. You had a little eye, big eye. Okay, I like it. So I'm just calling men to the carpet on this, and we got to be real about this. I think there's something that I always had an issue with. This is me all my life. This ain't no new shit. But black men put other races on pedestals where they can dress prerogative, they can do this, and nothing is never said about that. The moment a Megan Thee Stallion, a Sexy Red, a Cardi B or somebody show up, all of a sudden they sluts, they whores, they this, they that. Oh, they should dress better. They should do this. Like, why isn't the same standard held in other races, but we'll do it to our own women? Easy. Why is our only woman? Why is black women the only ones that just looked at as, oh, you just want to fuck them? But a white girl, you sitting there, or some other exotic girls, y'all want to call them, they get all the good treatment and stuff. Oh, that's wifey right there. That's this or that. But your own women don't get looked at like that. I'm calling everybody to the fucking carpet with that one. I don't give a fuck.
For a whole other live because
it is. But
it just speaks to the fact that it is so easy to objectify black women as opposed to see them as human beings. Right. And the fact that it exists within our own race is
that shit is alarming and deafening. Like that's a problem. That's a real big problem. And that's why I just feel like I want to say that because we're on the topic of toxicity, period. But that is one of the most bullshit things I've ever heard. Like, and it's crazy because I had to sit back and think, like, what is my daughter going to be to men, black men, as she get older?
Mm-hmm.
Is she just going to be a bitch to y'all? And she never is that, never was that. But because she's black, all of a sudden she's this now. Like, no. I don't like I said, I really don't care. I'm holding feet to fire, and that's for everybody. I don't give a damn if you're my friends. If you're not my friends, I'm calling everybody out on that one. I'm not going to celebrate the hell out of another race and then look at my race as they whore, sluts, and bitches. Like, no. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm with you, Chaz, 100%, and that's why I sit back and say, like, that's some old bullshit because, like, I just don't. I think that people need to hear that one because I've had situations where people show me videos of a white woman or a woman that's from another country or something like that, and she got her ass cheeks out or she got this out or whatever the case is, and I'm sitting there supposed to look at that as if I'm supposed to do what now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm supposed to say, "Oh man,
that's why this is a topic that can go so much deeper and really deserves like its own show because you can look through history and see where obviously not only black women but black men, like we have been thought of as objects as instead of real people. And the fact that it still exists within our own race, and that Black men are able to look at us as not people but objects, or objects of sexual desire, and not look at us in a human way, is a whole it's a whole topic in itself.
Yeah,
that exists, you know.
Okay, I got you. Basic has spoken. I'm going to sit down on that one. I was drinking anyway, so don't blame it on the goose. I'm blaming it on something anyway. So we here. If y'all haven't subscribed to us yet, please subscribe. What are you doing? Like,
what are you waiting on, guys?
What are you waiting on? So what are you waiting on? If anybody has any topics, future things that y'all possibly want to see us talk about, want to talk about possibly with us, please send me a message. I will get it out there to Basic and say, hey, do you want to talk about this? We have had many people on. And one thing I can say about this show, we have had a lot of people on here. So in the 2+ years that we've been doing this at this point now, we good on the streets. We good in the streets. So Chaz going in. I didn't set off that alarm. I got you, Chaz. I got you. We're gonna hold on, Chaz. So I have two, because we got about 10 minutes left with the male side of things, and then we're gonna go over to the women's side. For you, Basic, what do you say? How can men unlearn toxic behaviors from like the fathers and other male figures in their life? How do you feel like they can unlearn it?
And I'll answer that. It has to do with one, accountability and taking responsibility for your own perspective on life, and not just letting the things that you've seen or been taught be the thing that dictates the way you move throughout life. I think that happens in all aspects of all kinds of things within, like for all of us, we have to own our own responsibility to be more well-rounded human beings. And so part of that is just like being able to be very self-aware. And this kind of comes into, so like I have like there's aspects of modern masculinity, and there's certain points that people need to pay attention to. So I'm just going to give those points, and this is how men can be very proactively aware of where they stand, right? One is being emotionally intelligent, right? Emotional intelligence is key. Men are encouraged to recognize, understand, and manage their emotions and being empathetic towards others, right? So that's the first thing. Like, just put yourself in that mind frame. You want to be an emotionally intelligent person. This doesn't just apply for men. This applies for women as well. Self-awareness. Understanding how one's own strengths, weaknesses, and values is crucial for personal growth and development. So be a more self-aware person. You know, think about how you can improve your own self and your own personal development. Vulnerability, which is huge and which isn't taught a lot of times to young boys, especially when that is something that has been taught, that it's been taught through the years, that vulnerability is a weakness and not a strength, right? So now we want to repurpose that and to make people see that there's strength in vulnerability. The authentic expression of feelings and of emotions, and including vulnerability is seen as a strength. So you want to like really sort of think about vulnerability in a different way. It is not a weakness, it is a strength. And I know that we've talked about this in several occasions where men have also often talked about where they've been put in positions where they've tried to be vulnerable with women and they have been told that they are weak. And in those instances, you are dealing with a woman who is weak, right? Any woman that tells you that you being vulnerable is not a strength is a woman who also has work to do on her own self. But I think that like, because you may have like been encountered with women or men who have told you that your vulnerability is a weakness, that might deter you from thinking of it as a strength. This is a time where we have to reevaluate that, and like also Like, weed those people out of your life. Like, people who tell you that you being a vulnerable person is a weakness. Those are not people that you want around you, whether it's a man or a woman. Any woman that looks at you and can tell you that you are being vulnerable means you soft. That is not a woman that you want in your life. Get rid of her. Okay? She is not the kind of person that you want in your life. She's not the kind of person that you need in your life. And she's someone who is not going to support you as an evolving person. She's only going to hold you back. Inclusivity. Recognizing and valuing the diverse perspectives of experiences of others, including those who may have been marginalized. So if you, and this plays a big role in this aspect of when you can look at women who have often been marginalized in society and be able to recognize that there are a lot of things that women bring to the table and to society as a whole that can be looked at as a strength. And when you can be able to find value in your woman or the women around you, it is a beautiful thing and it will help you be a stronger person. Okay. And then the last one is embracing diversity. Modern masculinity recognizes there's no single correct way to be a man. So if anybody tells you that you have to do this to be a man, they are wrong. Okay. There's no formula that makes anybody look like more or less of a man. And anybody who tells you so is subscribing to a more toxic and traditional role that should not exist now. We're really trying to recreate and evolve that. And also, I feel like just being able to understand that by being a person who is more self-aware, who is more introspective, and who is willing to be vulnerable and to look at masculinity in a different way, knowing that you carry more value and more strength. Like I said, like I, as a woman who finds value in letting my man lead me in our relationship, the only way that I am able to let him lead me is if he possesses these qualities. I can't let a man who subscribes to the more traditional roles of masculinity lead me because I know he does not have any consideration for me and my value. The only way I can let you lead me is if I know that you actually have considered all these things and you possess all these qualities. And when I realize that you do, I feel more confident in letting you be the lead within our relationship because I know that you still hold value in me and you still see value in me. And so, you know, it's all of those things. I think you really just, so to answer your question, Mike, I think men just have to like really be very self-aware of themselves, find, you know, look into themselves and sort of like be more vulnerable, be more introspective, be more self-aware, and like kind of take all of those things that have been taught to them. And I don't say all, because I'm sure there's probably some things that have been positive that can be taught to you. But the things that devalue other people, put those out of your mind, right? Anything that might lessen or devalue the opposite sex, put those away and really rethink, you know, how it applies. Sorry, I said a lot of stuff.
You're good. You're good. There was a lot that was written on the sides, but it's like, I'll get to that in a second.
Hold on. Marcus just said something, but isn't leading a part of traditional form of masculinity? Yes. And that's why I said earlier, Marcus, you missed it. But I said, speaking for myself personally, that is something that I value in my relationships. I value my partner to be someone who can lead me. Does that mean that applies to everyone? No. Do I expect for everyone to like to prefer that in their relationships? Absolutely not. For me personally, in my own, if there's anything that I subscribe to that is more traditional, is that I would like for my partner to be someone who can lead me. And that does not mean that I feel like everybody should do that. I feel like to each his own, right? Whatever works for you and whatever your preference is what works for you. But for me personally, in my own personal relationships, I need a man who I feel like I can feel safe with leading us. But in order for him to be able to give him that power and give him that, and I hate to say that power, but to give him that position where I feel like he can lead me, he has to be a man who is willing to be vulnerable, and a man who is willing to be emotionally intelligent, and a man who can value me as a woman and what I'm able to bring to the relationship. That's the only way I can do that. But for me, in my own personal relationships, I like for my man to be able to lead me. And I know that's traditional. And do I think of it as toxic? Not for me. Do I understand why somebody else might think that? Yes. And that is okay.
Yeah. Hey, hands in the air. That was a lot said. I mean, it's time for us to get to the feminine side. I want to say this real quick. I said feminine side, femininity side. I said this down. Oof. Anyway, I want to kind of bring up their stuff before we go on, but once again, how you want your relationship to be is how you want it to be for you. If that's what works, that's what works. We're just trying to redefine for ourselves what this should be, and what it actually is saying in other forms, other senses, like what a masculine person looks like and what they display are like two different fucking things, huh? Don't do it from the bottom up, Mike. I don't even know. I got you. I'm going, wait. Anyway, I know what they're saying because they're on the comment side, so it bottom up. So like I was saying, it's just when it comes to like how we redefining these words, we're just trying to like really put it in perspective of what it actually, to me, like I said, for how I feel about toxic masculinity, everyone feels like it is these things because this is what's being displayed. But to me, I'm like, your behaviors is the one that's showing up at the end of the day. That's how I'm viewing it. I'm like, your behavior is the one that's showing up. How you're just taking this word and twisting it to try to benefit you, to try to show your male privilege in any type of way, like, oh, well, I'm stronger than you, so I should be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I know more than you do. Like when people try to get people at ages when they, when they're younger than them and they say things, like all of a sudden you don't know what you know because you're younger. It's like, well, that's not necessarily true. They might not be as experienced, but I don't mean that they, that you should talk to them as if they just don't have no concept of life or no concept of what's going on. They completely, if they're having a conversation with you and you was with them enough, they know what the fuck going on. That's how I look at it. So I'll just finish it with this as far as that. I'm re-asking in case it was missed. What's the purpose as functional masculinity if there's no right way to do it? I mean, I don't know. It just it's there for some people.
Wait, what was the question again? Sorry, I missed what he said. We're asking in case it was missed. What's the purpose / function of masculinity if there's no right way to do it? Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just saying, like, it just went dark.
I know, right?
One half of your face is Darth Vader on that side. All right.
It's not plugged in. Excuse me. Plug it in.
Like I said, I don't know if it's necessarily that it's a function. It's just some people just have to do it in the sense of like how it's defined. If it's defined in telling you, yo, you also love and you care while you show your bravado, while you show your assertiveness, while you show your leadership in your own way or whatever the case is, because everybody doesn't do the same thing. If it's showing up and it's comfortable and everybody's appreciative of it and they love it, then do it. It works. Maybe I'm answering the question. Maybe I'm not. I don't know.
And Marcus, I don't know if I might not be answering your question, but I don't know if we necessarily mean that there's no right or wrong way to do it. I think what we're speaking in terms of when someone tells you that you're not a man unless you do this, those are things that we want to stray away from, because the idea of modern masculinity and femininity is reimagining what that means in terms of what more traditional roles have said masculinity should be, right? So I think like when you hear people use the term, very specifically when you hear people use the term, you're not a man unless you do this, those are things that you want to stray away from. It's not necessarily to say that there's no right or wrong way to do it, but you do want to lean away from people who say you can't be a man if you doing this, or you're not a man if you like this, or you're not a man if you like that. I think that's what we meant. Not necessarily saying that there's a right way or wrong way to do it, but just people in general who might present to you that masculinity has to be this, and masculine, and if you're not doing this, you're not a man. Those are the people. Those are the things you want to stray away from. I think that's what we meant when we were saying it. I hope that kind of answers your question.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't even think we answered it the right way, but who knows? Hey, I answered the best way I could. That's all I could say. Like, because I don't know if it's a right way or wrong way. I know it's just a way of how it works for whoever, and if they're doing it right. Like, if you're doing it right, you're doing it right. If you're doing it wrong, you're being told you're doing it fucking wrong. That's just how I look at it. If somebody got to tell you that you're doing something wrong, you're doing it fucking wrong.
But see, I think that's his point though. Like, a lot of people will be like, "You're not no man if you will let your woman do this." So in those cases, that's not correct. Like, if a man is to say to you, "You're not a man if you let your woman tell you that you cannot do this," that doesn't mean that the person they're talking to is wrong. I feel like that position is incorrect. Like, for you to be able to tell me that I'm wrong is because I let my woman make a decision. You know what I mean? If I was a man, you know what I'm saying? If you were to be like, you're not a man because you let your woman tell you could do this. I think that position is wrong. Not they told you we're wrong, so you must be wrong. I think if you're telling a person that they have to follow this specific formula to be a man that is very traditional, then that's wrong in itself. Like, who are you to tell me that I'm not a man just because I let my woman make a decision for me?
Yeah, that's what I thought we did too, Serena, like way earlier. But I'm not going to say it was towards Marcus's question. I just know we talked about it. So it was like, I don't know at what point they came in. So they seen the whole entire thing. Maybe it just needed to know more. Just real talk. Just let people and fit in where they best fit. Yeah, exactly. That's just what I think. Like, I can't really tell somebody what to do and how to do it because I can give you my perspective of what it is for me, but I don't want you to necessarily take that and go adapt that because it might not work for you.
Right.
When people start understanding that everybody is not the same in the fucking slightest, you will be better off. Like, my people in my life ain't the same as your people in your life. What's up, Posy? Posy or Posy? I said that right?
Posy.
Posy. Look at that smile. Y'all see it? Oh, shit. Yeah. I'm going to leave you a little basic. If you're defining, it's like redefining masculinity, you're telling people how to do it. No, we're not redefining it. We're just we're taking what is already there and just presenting it. That's all. And just showing like, okay, this is what it's saying versus what people are actually doing. I think that's what it is. We're not saying like you should follow it this way. We're kind of just like doing a particular thing.
Yeah, I don't think that we're saying
Thank you, Sarah.
I think, Marcus, we're not saying that we're redefining what masculinity is. We're just saying that the purpose of modern masculinity is to
get away from traditional masculinity.
Is to get away from traditional roles and to like redefine what masculinity looks like in today, what masculinity can look like in today's society. It's not to tell you like what you're supposed to do. And how you're, and I get what you're saying, but I think it's very specific. But and maybe that's key to it. Like, yeah, maybe we are saying, hey, if you want to be more masculine, then you need to like reevaluate like what you think of as masculinity, because, and it's not to be like you're wrong or you're right. I think it's very definitive. I think what we're talking about is that modern masculinity is just reimagining what masculinity means to us. And it's not to conform to the more traditional roles of what masculinity means, but it's to be a more evolved person within that, right? You know what I mean? That kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling because I've had a glass of wine, so I don't know if that makes sense.
That
But-
wine is bad right now. Shit showing up like it got me feeling like I'm chopped and screwed. Okay. If y'all want to stay here for a quick more another second, I'm trying to be more mindful of that, like, and not just move on to something else, because we are talking about femininity now, and I want to try to get to that. We spent about an hour and some change on masculinity. I want to get to the femininity. So I have some things for femininity.
Go ahead.
If you would like me to read it. Wait.
Go ahead.
Oh, fuck. Hold up. Oh, shit. All right, basically, you can take it. All right, give me my phone.
Okay, so
Get out my phone.
we're going to revisit what we spoke about earlier, just to get everybody to have a kind of understanding of what we're talking about when we reference modern femininity. Just to give you guys an idea of what we're speaking to when we reference that. Modern femininity encompasses a broader, more inclusive view of what it means to be a woman, rejecting rigid stereotypes and embracing diverse expressions of female identity and experience. It emphasizes individuality, strength, and resilience, celebrating women's multifaceted qualities and contributions. So when we are speaking towards modern femininity, that's what we're specifically talking about.
Mm. Yeah, and I think it's more or less like when I think a lot of women are embracive now. They're way more empowered than ever. I like the not giving a fuck about what somebody has to say, just doing you, continuing to do you. And I feel like that's something that goes a long way. And a lot of women are very, especially just to me, Black women can be so loving and so caring for everybody.
Right.
And then they don't never reflect the same way.
So Marcus, Marcus just posted something, and I'm trying to. I want to understand, Marcus, what you're meaning. So I'm just going to put it up, and if you can elaborate on what you're talking about. Marcus just commented that's so idealistic. Are you speaking to what I just read about what modern femininity is? So just if you could explain. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. And if you would like to come in and explain, you can do that as well. But I just want to make sure I understand what you mean. Yes. Okay. So he was saying that yes, it's what he means. That what I just read was very idealistic. I guess I'm interested then in understanding what you interpret modern femininity to be.
Being called to the table with that one. Anyway, so I would say that as far as like how women,
True.
as far as like what qualities or attributes regarding a characteristic of women or girls, this is an opinion. We judge off, I'm guessing, opinions, not facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's Marcus's. It's idealistic, and it sounds good to say, but it's not reflected in the real world. Example: Black women are still often excluded from modern conceptions of femininity. You're correct. I don't think we're trying. We're not trying to say that. What we're saying is the rule and all encompassing, and that is how it looks in society in every aspect, and especially for Black women. I don't know if you were here earlier when we were talking about the fact that we had to have a whole separate show for the way that Black women are objectified and not looked at as humans. I don't know if you were here when we were actually talking about that. So I think that when we're talking about modern femininity, we're not saying that this is what currently exists and what applies, because I think we all realize here is that there are millions of or tons of circumstances in which modern femininity is not necessarily even something that's considered. I think when I'm giving the definition of modern femininity, I'm giving a definition of what the idea of it is. We're not talking about that this is what is like true and this is what actually exists. I'm saying that this is what the idea and what the concept of modern femininity looks like, and how it can exist. Not to say that it's necessarily the rule and that everybody.
Not even saying that that's 100% of what's happening either. That's because clear as day. Well, yeah, that's what we're saying. That's like, it's the idea of it. But I think, like, yeah, sure, we know that this is happening, but at the end of the day, what we want to try to put out there is to give the common ground and say, all right, this is what this looks like, all right, and then we can start speaking on the things and the problems that's happening, because she's giving more or less, okay, this is what this is for modern women, but now we can start elaborating what modern women go through and what they don't have, you know, like, and what's not happening for, you know, and what's being treated towards, you know, all those different things. So it's more or less like, you know, I guess that's what she's trying to do, is just give the description of what it is. Now, for what is going on, it's a whole different situation. Completely understood. We have a whole president running the office that ain't for modern women. So I'm with you. But the things that I seen on it, as far as like I said, the great things about it is the fact that women are more expressive. They don't care, and I love it. Unapologetically you.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to say what you want and do what you want, and not have to feel like your power has been stripped from you and taken away from you because of stuff. Black women suffer from the world expecting them to be so strong. They're forced to be tough, yet be judged for wanting to, I'm guessing, be soft. It's unfair. Yeah, it's been unfair for a very long time.
Sorry, I put that up for everybody to be able to see it.
Yeah.
True. Very true.
Because that's how they socialized.
Welcome, Bulbasaur. Thank you for popping in.
What's going on, Bulbasaur? Thank you for coming through. But let's see. Well, one, like I said, I have no clue what it's like to be a woman, to be in a position of what women have to deal with and go through life. And a lot of the times you're raised by women who are in a traditional sense, who has the mindset of a man is to take care of a woman and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I don't feel like that's fair to the world, because I'm like, I for me personally, having grown up with 2 sisters and other family members, I've never known them to just be, yo, y'all do this and that's it. Just me. I just never known them to be that. Like, my sister is an example of a woman who does on her own, has always done on her own. Don't need nobody for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Never have. So it was like, for the most part, even my mom, I've never seen women that actually needed men.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because maybe I was younger growing up with my mom, but from what I see with my sister, she didn't never need a man. She just did it.
Yeah.
Everything.
So, and I hope I'm not cutting you off, Mike. I apologize if I am.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think that the point of this conversation is kind of to try to visit those things. I think that for so very long, we have thought about women who might be independent and might not necessarily need, and I put that in quotations because I feel like it's the way that it's interpreted can be like, it can be looked at differently. If a woman is able to do things on her own, that might make her less feminine. And I think that is why, that is the purpose of redefining what femininity looks like, right? So if we think about what femininity was supposed to look like, it's a woman who is seen and not heard, a woman who is pleasing and passive, a woman who defers to a man to supply all of her needs, and doesn't and only contributes in certain ways, where it's like you're the, the caregiver, but you don't necessarily like work and bring things to the table, you know what I mean? Or you're not necessarily assertive, you're more quiet and docile and pleasing.
Can I add more to it?
Yeah.
Keep it. Also, women that like to train their bodies and get stronger and get more muscular and stuff like that, they get treated a certain way too, because it's like, oh, you look like a man now.
Right.
Like you're not going to look like me. Then you have women who have a deeper voice, and men are terrified of women with deeper voices. Oh, your voice deeper than mine, then is this, like that's a thing too.
Right. So when we're talking about modern femininity, we're talking about evolving from those particular roles, right? That might have been placed on us more traditionally of what a woman is supposed to look like, and being able to recognize that you don't have to exist within that very specific rigid bubble, and you can still be able to be thought of as feminine. Right. So like, let's say for me, because I think we touched on this earlier about how I do prefer my personal relationship, a traditional role of my partner being a leader to me. But what's important to me is that he also recognizes that I am a woman who can contribute to the relationship as well. He doesn't see me as lesser than. He doesn't expect me to be quiet and not have anything to say, or someone who can't do anything. But he also respects me and loves the qualities and the strengths that I am able to bring to the relationship, right? So for me, what modern femininity, for me personally, and I'm sure it's just like, this is only a small section, and this doesn't mean that it's what, like,
I got you.
What it looks like for everyone, but like very much in my life on an everyday basis, I pay my own bills, I take care of things. I am a leader. I am a person who is responsible for my household. I am this person who is outwardly very well spoken, who takes charge and who takes lead in many things. I do not think that makes me any less feminine. I do not think that takes away from my femininity. I do not think that makes me less of a woman, because I know that when I walk into a room, I can still command a room if I need to. I can still speak confidently and strongly if I need to. I can still get things done and take care of things on my own. Do I know that I don't have to have someone take care of certain things for me? Absolutely. Do I think that makes me less feminine because I am able to do those things? No. Can I be assertive if I need to? Absolutely. Do I think that makes me less of a woman? Not at all. Do I know that it has existed, that women who speak very confidently and very boldly, and who can say what they want versus what they don't want, who can speak to what, like, and even in a sense of like women who are very bold about what they want and desire sexually, can be thought of as a thing that's not very feminine. You know what I mean? So to be able to have ownership in who you are and what you do, and speak and move confidently, and even what can be thought of to many people as aggressively, might not necessarily look like a feminine trait in the more traditional role, but in a more modern stance, if we're reevaluating what femininity looks like, I can still be considered a feminine woman and possess all of those qualities. Because I am redefining what femininity looks like.
I'll get to that to the comments in a second, but I wanted to kind of throw this in there based off of what you were saying. Like, it's the thing of, like you said, one of the craziest things that I'm hearing, and it like pisses me off silently, like it frustrates the fuck out of me, and it's how people talk about Michelle Obama. Like, y'all are calling her a man. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and it ain't, and it's like the people you see that call her a man is, and you looking at them, and it's like, you blink a couple of times because it's like the asshole in me want to say something to you. The asshole in me want to go ahead and say some crazy stuff to you now.
Yeah.
Like they say something to you. But that's why I love it, because they're scared of her. They're scared of the fact that she don't give a fuck about you. You're scared of the fact that she is going to tell you about yourself and not care about it. She ain't going. She's the one that's going to go to the White House. Go to her husband and say, "I'm not going nowhere near the White House. I don't give a damn. I'm not going nowhere near that man. I'm not going to fake the funk no more. I don't like him, and I don't want to be around him." And no one should be forced to be around that person because of whatever it is. Another one that I can't stand too. Sure, she deserves a lot of her criticism in certain ways, but Beyonce criticism is weird as fuck to me. It is weird. I'm sorry. It's just weird to me. It's weird how people are criticizing her. They're trying to tear her down for every piece of it. She's not in the news for nothing super crazy. The most people say about her is that she be taking people's music. And she don't even be doing that. It'd be the producers. It'd be certain things that she probably should check up on a little bit about herself. But you look at her life and the things she's been through, it would be a reverse. She more or less is a problem when it comes to being a capitalist than anything. Like capitalize off of everything she's doing, regardless of whatever movement that it is. Whether she's speaking for Black women, she's made money off all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can't live that life. Can't even live up to whatever she's trying to do sometimes. So I get it, but at the end of the day, the criticism of her, and then like I'm just waiting for the day they're gonna start trying her babies. Like it's already coming out slowly but surely. I.e. Kanye West, goofy ass. Like I said, I'm saying names. I don't give a shit. Serena Williams, another one. She is a woman who has strength to her, that has muscles on her, as a thicker woman, all that stuff. And she too big, she too strong, she'll beat me up, she'll do this, she'll do that. She'll, she got attitude, she got swag, she crip walking at the joint, she doing this. Why her sister getting like, it's just stupid stuff. That's another thing.
Right.
Megan Thee Stallion. That is probably the craziest situation. You got men out here free to. Yeah, we're gonna continue on now. Who else we got? The damn vice president. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even forget about her.
Kamala, yeah.
Kamala, oh my god. Nobody even knew who she really was until this happened. And all of a sudden, you knew everything about her life. All of a sudden, she was all these different things. Yeah, that's what I said. You realize what it is and how women tend to deal with this stuff, and you realize, like, hey, things need to be changed. And I'm glad that women are stepping up and doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Chaz was saying something earlier. I wanted to put this up on the screen. That probably was based off of something. That's a good question. What makes people in our society that muscles and strength is only something men should exude? I don't know. I really don't.
I don't. Like,
I can't even begin to tell you like why. I think people are fucking crazy. That's all it is. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, wasn't gonna say anything. I was gonna ask if you wanted to go through some of the comments, because I know we probably missed a lot. I feel like people have commented a lot.
Right.
I know.
I'm just trying to go through them as we talking.
So talking a lot, but
yeah. I'm just trying to go through them. Because I remember going to a pride parade and seeing muscular women and feeling some type of way about it, and then quickly didn't because I had the tools to break that socialization. Yeah, good shit. And that's what matters, is that you took your time to think about the shit. Right. And you did what you had to do. I feel like there has to be push and pull, give and take, and compromise. Yeah. Right.
I think she was speaking. I think she had a couple of comments before that, and I think that might have been the.
We're trying to catch up because we just wanted to talk. No, that's what I'm saying. No, you're fine. I'm just letting everybody else know. We're just trying to catch up with y'all. What about parts of traditional femininity that modern people still hold on to, like being
infantilized?
Here we go. Or physical things like being shapely, youthful, hairless. Do we just cherry pick parts we want? No.
I don't think so. So I can only. I'll
it's
speak
the people.
No, I think that it's I think that's part of it too. Like, I can't say that. I think that we're trying to stray away from those things as well. Like, who is to say that just because a woman is embracing the fact that she has body hair and doesn't look youthful or may not have a shapely, like, curvaceous body, that doesn't make her any less of a woman. I think that's the purpose of, like, what we're talking about when it comes to modern femininity. Do I think that a person might have a preference towards those things? Yes. But does that mean that a woman who does still, like, have body hair and isn't choosing to, like, shave, or isn't curvy, does that make her any less feminine? No, that's the point of it. Like, that's the point of what we're talking about when we're talking about modern femininity. It's to say that it's all encompassing, that just because a woman might be more curvy than another woman, it doesn't make her any more feminine than the next. That all of those things should be included within femininity. And just because a woman's shaped a certain way or has body hair or, all those things, that doesn't make her less of a woman or less feminine than the next.
Right. Because you might have some women who might look a certain way, you have some women who might be 27, 28 years old, but they might have as they call it, the look of an older person, maybe. They might have an older look to them but they're young. It's a thing. Like, it happens, like I've seen, what were we watching? Think a woman was on Pop the Balloon. She did not look her age in a sense, and we can't all say like, oh, that's a problem because of age. Some people don't look their age. Some people look a lot younger. Some people look a little older than what they are. It just is what it is. It's genetics, probably. Like it's probably just how the family rolls. But she looked a little older, but she was only like 26, 27. When I first glanced at it, my mind said, oh, she probably like 39, 40. She was 26. I'm like, oh, shit. And that's when I learned, all right, just shut up. Don't say nothing. Just wait till somebody say that age. Don't say a fucking thing. Just wait till somebody else speaks.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do. What I mean? Like, that's where, like, I understand what Marcus is going at with it as far as that. Like, So, yeah. Traditional...
when we talk about modern femininity is redefining what that looks like. So we do know that there are can you put up his last comment? Y'all are going in circles. A function of the role of femininity is exclusivity. It's defined by what it is and isn't. If you're saying that you can be all things, nothing is excluded then.
What do you mean? Excluded from what?
He's saying that Marcus, I'm not saying that everything is included. I'm saying that we are reimagining what femininity looks like versus traditional roles. It's not to say that, like, everything means that you're feminine. It's to say that when you're talking about modern femininity, you're talking about evolving from what the traditional roles of femininity looks like and making it more inclusive. So it's not to say that everything exists in everything can be feminine and everything is feminine. It's just say that we're taking what the more traditional roles of what femininity looks like and making it more inclusive and evolving it. And saying that you don't just have to be this and this. That's the purpose of modern femininity in itself, is to say that we're straying from what the more traditional old school ways of what femininity looks like, and we're redefining it. That's it. Not saying that everything can be feminine, but just saying that we're saying that it doesn't take a certain specific formula that was once prescribed to us, and saying that is the thing that makes a person feminine.
Right.
If that makes
sense. And what we're to sum it all up, we're speaking on everything to bring it back to the point, to bring it back to understanding that, yes, at the end of this, everything should be inclusive. Everything should be included into something, like into modern femininity. Everything should be included, what I mean, like, or exclusive, everything should be equal, in spaces, we shouldn't be just judged on this or judged on that. We're just taking the long way around. We're talking about everything, bringing it to light, like just having a conversation, giving people senses of what's actually going on, not just giving them a definition and just say inclusive and all the other stuff, and that's just it, or exclusive. It's not just that. It's giving the full-on picture of how it's looking through the lens of it. This is how people get the millennial patriarch or ethical capitalism. What do you mean?
I want to go back to Serena's comment also. She was saying, why when the topic of femininity is brought up, why is it becoming a debate? I'm feeling very tense in this chat, not gonna lie. Serena, if you could just if you would like to, if you would elaborate on that a little bit more, because I want to speak to your point. I feel like, how you might be feeling is obviously valid, and so I just want to make sure that we revisit it and we don't just sort of glaze over it, what you're talking about, so that maybe we can be able to come to a little bit of a better understanding of what you're trying to say. And where was Marcus's? Marcus, where is it at? Evolving the role and not the function still retains the function, which is to maintain power. I'm not sure if I fully understand what you're saying, Marcus. I apologize. This is how people get the benevolent patriarch or the ethical capitalism. If you can explain more, Marcus, I'm not sure if I completely understand. You just said benevolent patriarch is PC patriarchy. You guys can explain that more. I don't know if we fully understand what you're meaning by that, but if you were willing to elaborate more, we could definitely dive into it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so like you said, they're just trying to get more understanding on where we need to go at as far as what happens within the modern versus the traditional sense of things. So what examples of traditional stuff that you felt as though we should be doing away with, that you think basic is kind of still lingering around right now, in a sense?
I mean, I feel like there's tons, and I think it goes both ways for both men and women. I think that the idea of a woman being feminine means that she has to be soft and quiet all the time and never seen and not heard. I think that there's some people who still very much hold to those traditional roles, and I think that definitely has to be done away with, obviously, for a various amount of reasons, or to say that any woman who might be assertive, that is a masculine trait in itself, and she can't be thought of as feminine because she asserts herself. I think that might have to be done away with. Same thing with men. I think a man who is thought of to be vulnerable and in touch with his emotions, that makes him less masculine. I think those ideals need to be done away with. I think there's tons of them that exist that suppress who we are and try to suppress who we, us being able to evolve and being more rounded individuals. Those things that sort of suppress that and try to keep us within a box, those are ideas that probably need to, we need to get away from.
Right. Okay. Let's see. He was saying, I think Mark is saying that right now masculine is hell above femininity in the hierarchical structure. So is there a purpose for the two outsides of this? Serena was kind of going back to what you were saying. She said from the beginning when you were reading the definition of modern femininity, immediately it was idealistic. I don't know how the masculinity side of the combo started, but the energy switched.
Oh, okay. I understand, Serena.
Yeah. Like I said, it can all start before 8 p.m. That's when I got on, but masculinity can catch all the smoke too. We already talked about these. More humane, more balanced. That's what she's saying, and as far as like femininity, as far as that. Yeah. And it in a sense, like I would say, when it comes to just the modern day, like I said, I think I'm just more or less just like how you speak life into what's going on, and
Right.
like there's still challenges and there's still things that are happening currently right now as far as what's happening with women. But you know, the more we build, the more, to me personally, men should be there with women and being an ally to what women have going on, and supporting and making sure that our voices are strong as far as things like here goes one for this, like how we speak to you when we're not around you, how we speak about you when we're not around you. That's, you know, I feel like that should be paid attention to, you know, like giving more, calling men out when we having those goofy ass conversations about women a certain way. And we kind of talked about earlier, like not feeding into the shit, you know?
Yeah.
And feeling like, oh, I got to be a part of the boys. You know, that's the only way I could be cool with people. That's the only way people will say hi to me when I'm at work or whatever. Because they, you know, calling people out while you're there is a thing, you know? Like women has always been the biggest supporter of a lot of things.
Sorry, my phone just came on.
Black women especially have always been very supportive in everything that's going on. You know, a lot of the stuff that's still happening now, women still got everybody's back. You know, like, and it's our job to assist where we can. You know, like everybody doesn't have to be a tick for tack or whatever the case is, but we got to figure out how to be a cohesive unit in our spaces. You know, we got to exist on this planet all at the same time. I feel like that's something that we should be doing, supporting. You know, I really, you know, taking care of y'all.
Right. And I just want to say, like, I get where Marcus is coming from, where he just feels like the ideals of femininity and masculinity should be done away completely. Like, I understand what you're saying, Marcus, but I do feel like I understand why you might feel that way, but I also understand why some people may want to still be able to hold on to those ideals, but just reimagine what it looks like for them. I just don't feel like, for me personally, and like I said, this does not exist for everyone, and I can't say that everybody has to apply the same views that I do. For me, what femininity looks like to me does not look the same way as it might have looked like to other people, and I'm okay with being able to consider myself a feminine woman who is also still, you know, strong, and who also is assertive, and who also takes herself and can pay her own bills and can take care of her own shit. I don't necessarily, for me personally, have a need to do away with the ideals of what femininity might look like. I just think that it might needs to be more inclusive and reimagined in what it can be, and that it doesn't have to be so exclusive and so limiting and so degrading. To me, it doesn't have to be done away with. It just has to be something that we reevaluate and look at. But I do understand why you might feel that it's something that we can just like toss away completely. I get that. For me personally, I don't feel like it necessarily has to be done away with. I just think that we need to reimagine what that looks like for us and what it means for us. And it doesn't have to be something that lessens a woman's strength or standards or who she is or how she stands in society. And I get why you think that that's idealistic. I understand that. And I'm okay with that. Like, I get, like, I just, for me personally, I'm going to work towards those idealistic views. Like, I'm going to stand in the, you know, in the space where yes, I might not be traditionally what people think of as feminine, but I am still a very feminine woman who can be strong and who can be muscular and who can be a person who takes charge and who can speak boldly and who can be aggressive, and I can still be viewed as a feminine woman.
Mm-hmm.
But that's me. And like I said, it doesn't always apply for everybody, but that's just me, personally.
I think it boils down to behaviors, and people should be allowed to choose the behaviors that best fits them. Yeah, this is seen a lot in queer culture, where mass, femme, both or neither is free to thrive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Context is important. Femininity under patriarchy looks different. We haven't really seen it outside of the social structure.
Yeah. I agree, Davinia.
Okay. Let's see. So, kind of just like touching up on what y'all are kind of alluding to and talking about, as far as getting rid of the concept of it overall. Where do you even think to even start a conversation like that? You know, like how does that even look to even begin to start doing that? You know, do we just strip everything and say, yo, you're just human? Like, how does that look? You know?
Yeah.
Let's see. Nah, you got to look at native cultures and you'll find a different take on femininity. Sure.
That's something that I would be willing to look at. Like I don't think I've ever thought of that. Taking a look at what femininity looks like in native cultures.
Mm. Which native cultures, Chaz, if you don't mind me asking, just throw something out there. I'll kind of, so we maybe while we looking at it, basic probably just look at it and see what, you know, take a peek at it or something. I guess we, you know, I really want to dive in more into it. As far as this, hold on, Marcus sent me a message.
American Native and African Native cultures. Okay. Every time I hit the phone, it comes on.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, American Native and African Native cultures. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. Also look at what it looks like in patriarchal cultures as well too. Okay. Yeah, I think it's completely different. I mean, hey, everybody. She said she thinks it's completely different.
What is Davinia? I want to make sure we understand what you're saying.
I think that, you know, speaking on the cultures and stuff like that. So, but like I said, maybe it's on top of it, we also sitting in a space where we don't, you know, maybe us as Black Americans don't really have an identity towards that for real. Because what were we years and years ago? You know, our culture, we understand it, but maybe our culture is kind of like a lot of the stuff that we do is based in other cultures, come from other cultures. You know, how do we do it? You know, and it's kind of like what we're talking about now when we say how we do our relationships now. Like everybody still holds us to the same standards of other, like for instance, to be successful in a relationship, you got to be married. You know, like you have to be married. If you're not married, then you're not. You don't have a success. Oh, you're reading what she's saying. Go ahead.
I think people think matriarchy will be a patriarchy with women and men in different spots.
Yeah, I'm doing a blank on that one too.
And maybe because we both have.
Yeah, I'm doing a blank on that one. I ain't gonna lie. I love it though. I really want to know.
Have to have such
Yeah,
a choice.
that's what Exactly, Chaz. Yeah. That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm alluding to. Like, you gotta do these things to be able to. And it's like, even with that, it's like you have to do it. And if you don't, you're not successful. And then that's what's played into, what happens with women in a traditional sense. That's probably why a lot of the times you have your mothers and your grandmothers and them that's saying, oh, you need a man because it's the only way you're able to do something.
Yeah.
That's the only way you do this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say that I love the different, like, the discourse that's happening within the chat. And guys, I would hope that you guys would like always want to come up. I encourage you guys to come up here and talk, like, and to because I know that sometimes it might get lost in translation when we're reading it. And so, like, for you guys to be able to come up here and maybe to like further go into like what your points are, it'd be great. So if you guys ever want to join us and jump up here in the chat, and we love to talk to you guys and have you guys up here as well, so that we can get like a clear idea. I know people hearing us read it might not be as clear to the viewers as what you're trying to say. And so if you guys can ever come up here and just be able to elaborate more and expound upon what you guys are talking about, we would love that. I appreciate like all of your opinions, and I think it's definitely worth thought and consideration, but we would love for you guys to come up if you can.
When my dad died, my mom said, "You the man in the house now." I'm like 16. What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah, Chaz. I remember if I came up, I'd take your ratings. I wrote my dissertation on this stuff. I mean, it's just your words and like what you know. That's all it is. I think a matriarch is a society. It's a society that values femme values. Would love to follow up on this next week to bring a queer perspective to the convo. That'll work, Chaz. I'm down for it. I'm down for the conversation. It's just, I mean, some things are going to be tough, and things have to be said and things have to be whatever. I'm not scared of the conversations at all. Like, whatever y'all say is just whatever you're going to say. It's a learning curve for all sides. Like, if you know more, you know more. Some people just perspectives is a little bit different. That's all. They there's still a human aspect that goes along with us all. Most of us ain't going to take it in a literal sense of what y'all telling us. Some people, it has to be talked to a certain way. Like, if you just give everybody the hardcore facts, they might not they might not learn from it. Y'all saying a lot of stuff over there. I know the words, but a lot of things are being framed a certain way that I've never seen this framed that way before. So it's like, as y'all going along, y'all explaining more and more and more and more. So that's all. I'm not scared of the conversations, but I do appreciate the conversations. That's all I can say. Sorry, I should not be yawning on camera. Yeah, a long day for me. But I guess, we can kind of end it right here if you want. Just getting to that point.
I'm sure there's so much more we could talk about, and we could always revisit this conversation, like Chaz was saying, later, to just follow up and get different perspectives of it. We would love that. It's not something that we obviously expect to be something that can be summed up and in the 2 hours that we do it. It's a very broad conversation that has lots of different perspectives and viewpoints that I think we can all learn from, and maybe it'll even trigger something for us to be like, I want to know more. You know what? Like, I want to look into this and I want to have more understanding. So we understand that, like, this conversation, this little brief conversation that we're having, is not the end all be all of it, and we can always revisit it and have like more of an outlook when it, and maybe even invite some people up to like talk about it if you can. So yeah, but it's definitely been one that's worth thinking about, and hopefully it will allow us all to kind of step back and do a little bit more research and do a little bit more introspection, and allow us to like evolve whatever our perspectives are on what femininity and masculinity looks like to us.
Yeah. And to say, like I said, there's a massive job that has to be done around it. We can sit here and talk about this all day. We can try to break it down all day, but if we ain't putting this word out there, who's going to learn? Who's going to do what? Who's going to be able to sit back and just hear the conversation and want to go investigate it themselves? You know, and say, okay, what are they talking about? Like, why is this even being mentioned? You know, like, why was that even a conversation? Some things need to be said, some things need to be done. You know, like, it's a lot of work behind everything that's doing it, and we're just the brave ones that sit in front of your face and actually do it. That's all. A lot of people won't say nothing; they'll just hold on to it. Doesn't really do anybody no justice. That's why I say I'd rather talk about it. I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong 16 times out of the day. If I'm here and somebody's here to help out with the situation and to help clarify it or even put some perspective on it, that's what matters the most. So you don't need to be a complete genius to be able to have a conversation with people.
Yeah.
Just talk. Just talk.
Absolutely. I agree.
All right. We're going to get off of here. I'm going to go watch TV and get something to eat. So, I had to think about it for a second.
Right.
We'll love to hear more next time about soft light or safety of being in the surge of those aspects today. Yeah, we was heading that way. I at least was heading that way. I had stuff right here for it.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, like, you know.
Listen, we have nothing but time and space and opportunity for us to revisit it and you know, dive more deeper into it. So we can definitely do that, Serena. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think that's what she really wanted to hear. I think she wanted to just dive in deeper with understanding different things within it. So I get it. So, all right. Basic, you have a great one. Everybody, please remember to like, subscribe, and follow everything we do. Share it out to people. If you want to come up for conversations, y'all know where to reach us. So I haven't put a goddamn thing up, you know. I'm not putting it up. Look, one, y'all seen that before, and y'all seen this before. All right, bye.